Hello citizens of the world, we Mexicans need your help extremely urgent. We Mexicans are being victims of our own government. We beg your help. Please listen carefully, our government is trying to consolidate an authoritarian regime, our government is trying to consolidate a new dictatorship. Our current president Felipe Calderon is an illegitimate president. In the previous presidential elections in 2006 he did not win the elections, but the previous president Vicente Fox protected him since they both belonged to the same political party. Now Felipe Calderon is supporting and protecting the candidature of Enrique Peña Nieto even from a different political party. Different parts of our government authorities and institutions are protecting the candidature of Nieto. He has done all kinds of violations to the law. Please watch all this video. I will explain in detail the whole story so you can be well informed and support our petition. I will present you also evidence. We need your help. In 2004 the governor of the state of Mexico, the most populated state, was Mr. Arturo Montiel. At the end of his period as governor he was accused of illegal enrichment. There were many claims of stealing money from the provincial budget. A governor does not become millionaire from his salary, but Mr. Montiel did. He acquired more than 60 properties in Mexico and even bought 3 castles in France. Since impunity reigns in Mexico, no political judgment was done on Mr. Montiel. No further investigation was done. Mr. Montiel has a nephew. His name is Enrique Peña Nieto. Mr. Nieto worked as Secretary of Administration in the cabinet of Montiel, the second biggest position in a provincial government. When Montiel finished his period in 2005, Nieto became the next governor of the state. Since 2005 the government of the state he governed signed a contract with the biggest and most influential TV network in Mexico, Televisa, for spaces on TV in its different channels of Televisa and all kinds of TV shows. Nieto would appear on entertainment shows, arranged interviews, TV news and magazines, in order to make him appear attractive, friendly, popular and as a cool politician. They used political marketing, which is illegal. The journal The Guardian from the UK reported the signing of this contract for 750 millions of pesos, that about 50 millions of American dollars. Hiring a TV network for this purpose is illegal, especially if a politician uses public resources. He was being projected as the candidate for the 2012 presidential elections by the political party PRI. During his government Nieto murdered his last wife, cause he has had at least 3 wives. There were allegations that he personally killed his wife. When asked what was the cause of her death, he says, "She died because of a sickness she was suffering from long time ago, a sickness that I cannot remember, I just found her dead in my bedroom." He mysteriously became millionaire during his government, as his uncle Montiel did. The worst part of his government was when there were some protest in the city of Atenco, hundreds of people doing protest. After some days Nieto deployed thousands of police officers. The number of police officers was about 10 times the number of people protesting. The police forces repealed the protest with ultra-violence. During the operative there were journalists from other countries who were also violently attacked by the police forces. Those female journalists were beaten and raped by the police. There were also 2 persons killed by the police. Next day Nito said on TV, the operative was perfectly clean, and after the demands from the citizens to investigate and punish violent police officers and also the actions of Nito, no further investigation nor judgment was done to any of the officers nor Nito. That a basic background of who is Nito. For the 2012 presidential elections, the three male candidates for the presidential election are Nito, Lopez Obrador and Josefina Vasquez, being Nito and Lopez Obrador the strongest candidates. Lopez Obrador ran also as a candidate in the 2006 presidential election, being the real winner. The elections day in 2006, Lopez Obrador was being shown as the winner on all TV networks by the Federal Electoral Institute or IFE. At the end of the day their computer system simply crashed, and when the system was restored the 100% of the votes were counted and Lopez Obrador was at the second place. Then our current president Felipe Calderon was declared winner. Just by chance the president of the corporation who developed the software used by the Federal Electoral Institute was one of Felipe Calderon's brothers-in-law, Diego Zavala Hildebrando. You will decide if it is a coincidence that the computer systems of elections crashed and then showed a different result when restored, and also that the man who sold that software has a family ties with the winner of the presidential election. The serious problem during this election was the illegal campaigns of Nito. Each candidate has a limited amount of financial resources to be spent on their campaigns. The law establishes a limit equivalent to 26 million of American dollars. So Nito spent just on his TV spaces $57 million of dollars. All along the country during his campaign Nito mounted a network of delinquency that consisted of vote buying, mobilizing people in buses to meetings and voting places. The elections day, thousands of people working for Nito political party went to very poor communities, urban and rural communities, practically in every city of Mexico. So before, during and after Nito meetings they're offered goods to the people such food, clothes, notebooks, blankets, cement, lamps, CD, stoves, supermarket prepaid cards and also cash. Nito abused their extreme poverty and lack of education of millions of citizens in order to buy their vote. The law concerning elections establishes that candidates cannot give anything to the citizens in order to persuade them to vote for them. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars on vote buying. They also spent millions of dollars in urban publicity all along the country. They spent millions of dollars paying these thousands of people involved in this network of criminal activity. The biggest crime was the origin of these financial resources. Because money came from all states governed by Nito political party they deterred public budget to Nito network of vote buying. All governors of PRI are involved in this criminal activity. Besides that, some governors of PRI have been accused of having strong ties with drug cartels, and also of money washing from the drug cartels. There were many accusations of this criminal activity to the Attorney's Office of Justice, to the IFE and also to the police. Many citizens denounced this illegal campaign. Hundreds of pieces of evidence were presented, but the response and the investigations of the authority was nil. Basically the crimes committed by Nito during his campaign were overpassing the amount of financial resources spent on campaigns, vote buying, hiring illegal TV networks propaganda, also producing illegal spots on TV, spending money on his campaign from illicit origin. The other part of the campaigns is that a movement of university students named I-132 emerged. These thousands of students protested against illegal Nito campaigns and also against Nito imposition on TV by Televisa. Just few days after the first manifestation of students there were millions of Mexicans marching all along the country supporting the 132 movement and shouting "Oh Nito, Nito out, no TV imposition, Nito murder." The unpopularity and rejection of Nito was enormous in the whole nation. By contrast, the popularity and support towards Lopez Obrador just like 6 years before had been giant. Mexico wanted and still want Lopez Obrador as president of Mexico. July 1, the elections day, millions of citizens voted for Nito as they were paid for. Some of these people were paid before the election, some were told that they would be paid only if Nito won the election. At the end of the day Nito won the elections. 5 days after the election, once again, millions of citizens protested in massive manifestations from corner to corner of the country. Lopez Obrador team sued fraudulent practices during the elections in favor of Nido and also sued illegal Nido campaign. Again, hundreds of well-documented pieces of evidence were presented to the Federal Electoral Institute, but just 1 week later they said that there is not sufficient evidence to prove vote buying. They did not even run any investigation at all. A journalist has done a substantial investigation that helps prove the illegal practices of Nido. Just a journalist has done more than hundreds of people who work for the Federal Electoral Institute and the Attorney's Office of Justice. We Mexicans claim that the Federal Electoral Institute is part of the plan of Nido imposition. It is simply not acceptable that they did not want to run any investigation against Nido campaigns, not even look at the evidence. The victory of Nido is not definitive until the Federal Electoral Tribunal declares valid the elections. So after the Federal Electoral Institute said that the elections were clean, the last resource to turn the elections invalid is the Federal Electoral Tribunal. If they find evidence of illegal practices, they have to declare invalidity of elections. Lopez Obrador has already presented complaints, as well as hundreds of well-documented pieces of evidence to the Federal Electoral Tribunal, but even days before the accusations presented at this tribunal, the president, magistrate or judge, publicly declared that at the end the results would be the same than the one of the elections day. Millions of Mexicans feel indignity because it looks that the budget from Nido also bought all kinds of authority and judges concerning elections. The final judgment of the Federal Electoral Tribunal will take place about the first week of September. If you make a balance of the events, you can find that our position, the position of almost everybody in Mexico, is that the elections must be invalid and that Nido should be judged for his criminal practices concerning elections processes. What we beg you to do is to spread as fast as possible this video and this message and to protest in front of Mexican embassies and consulates in order to demand justice for Mexico democracy. You can write in your demands these messages. There is overwhelming well-documented evidence of electoral frauds. If the Federal Electoral Tribunal does not cancel the elections, that would confirm Mexico as the most corrupt country in the world, because judges concerning elections are corrupt and never have done their job, and that means that there is no possible way for Mexicans to control and punish illegal and criminal practices of election processes. Thus, there is not democracy in Mexico. The history of the last 50 years of presidential elections is a cycle of well-documented electoral frauds. Those illegitimate corrupt presidents have used the power only for lucrative purposes and have kept Mexico as what it is, a third-world country. Unfortunately, frauds have been something expected for us. Every 6 years the same story repeats, again and again, and the authorities and the government don't do anything. Mexican federal government has become since decades ago a powerful and nasty industry that makes vastly rich few people and passes from one hand to other hand without considering citizens at all. In a sense, this problem concerns also the United States of America, because the worse the situation of Mexico is, the more illegal immigrants get to the United States. We are victims of our dirty system, and we seriously need international help to press our government do the right thing. Please help us. Thank you.